At one point, the subject of today's video was the #1 player in his class, was a 5-star recruit, and was one of the top wide receiver recruits of all time. After spending time at 2 big-time programs, his career unfortunately has not played out like many would have expected, and now he's going to try to make it as a late round or undrafted pick in this year's draft. In today's video, we're to take a look at his rise, how he became the top player in his class, and what ultimately happened at those 2 programs that has led to him not living up to the hype. But before we get started, be sure to leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new and love college football content, turn on notifications so you never miss when I upload, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now, let's get started. So you're probably wondering who the subject of today's video is, and it is none other than former Arkansas and Oklahoma wide receiver Jadon Haselwood. But in order to understand what went wrong, we first need to go back in time. Apparently, he's the highest rated wide receiver in the recruiting industry since DGB and Stephon Diggs, but how did that happen? Well, back in the day, his dad went to Oklahoma and taught Jadon how to play and watch football. His dad did not play for the Sooners, but was just a student there. Jadon, on the other hand, was a natural athlete and was seen as the next big thing in the area and made an impact right away as a freshman in high school. As a sophomore at Cedar Grove High School, he began to blow up as he gained 11 offers and a ton of national attention. His first collegiate offer came from Illinois in 2015, and his first SEC offer came from Kentucky in 2016. He eventually blew up at camps and visited Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia. For a while, it looked like he was going to leave the state, but then he committed to Kirby Smart in Georgia and became the highest rated commit since AJ Green at the position. He did this as only a sophomore, and he was a huge fan of the Bulldogs. Apparently, he shared a memory of him being nothing but a pure fan after he thought Georgia was going to beat Alabama in the Rose Bowl. He fell in love with Sanford Stadium and all the good quarterbacks they had, so it seemed like a picture-perfect fit for Jadon to go there. When he committed, the best wide receiver in Georgia history statistically, Terrence Edwards, had this to say, quote, "I thought this man was going to be the one to break all of my records. That's coming from the leading receiver in Georgia history. But I want you to do what's best for you, brother. You're a good kid." Wait, what do you mean by that? Yeah, he had decommitted at this point. On October 3rd of 2018, he sent shockwaves through the recruiting world as he decommitted from the Bulldogs and reopened his recruitment. This was a mystery, but obviously something happened behind the scenes. Haselwood said, quote, "Something happened. I don't want to speak on it, but something happened and I just ended up doing it," meaning he decommitted. If I had to take a guess, I believe it was the system that he'd be playing in, as he played in a more aired out style. Georgia obviously runs the ball first. Also, maybe something happened with the coaching staff, but I don't really know. Either way, he was no longer going to be a Georgia Bulldog. He then became one of the best receivers in Georgia high school football history, but his senior year was met with tragedy that has also helped fuel him to become the person he is today. His friend Trayvon would pass away after he would get shot over the summer. That guy was part of the 2018 recruiting class and was actually going to be a wide receiver at Valdosta State, and those two were really close, so obviously this really hurt him. Also, it's just a very sad story in general. Haselwood said, quote, "We used to hang out all the time. We used to always hang out with each other at one another's houses after games, and we'd always go to the Waffle House together, and we'd ride in the same car. We were close." Jadon wore his number and made an incredible catch in the state title game to honor him, and this was met with nothing but emotion. Jadon said, quote, "I wore Trayvon's jersey today and made a big catch to win the game. That's like a dream come true." Down 13-7 with just seconds to go, he had caught a pass to win the state title game, and this game was inside of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, so it was on the biggest stage in the biggest moment of his life. That same day, he also revealed his final 5 schools, but in a weird way. It was actually etched onto his cleats, and it was now time to focus where he would go to school. From there were rumors swirling where he would go, but after a great visit to Miami, many thought the Hurricanes were a lock to land him, but that was not the case. Jadon said, quote, "Everybody is thinking it is Miami right now, which it is not. It's just the only school I've visited since I decommitted. That's really it." His other 4 schools included Tennessee, Georgia, Florida State, and Oklahoma. When he visited Norman, he had an interesting reaction to the place. He said, quote, "It was real windy. I think they had a tornado a few counties over. But it was great. I've already been to a game there, so I wanted to see other parts of it." Just like the Oklahoma weather, his recruitment was also pretty stormy, but he eventually chose the Sooners and head coach Lincoln Riley during the Army All-American game. He joined 2 other 5-star receivers in the class in Theo Weiss and Trajan Bridges, yet later Bridges was bumped down to a 4. This created a three-headed monster going into Oklahoma, but why did he choose the Sooners to begin with? Haselwood said, quote, "Sometimes you gotta step out of your comfort zone. We're going to see how this works." I think he liked the coaching staff and the challenge ahead of him, so now it was time for him to get to work. He was also friends with Spencer Rattler, and the Oklahoma offense would give him a chance to showcase his skills. He was a big deal and had a ton of hype. According to 24/7 Sports, he was a 5-star recruit, the #1 wide receiver, and the 4th best player in the class of 2019. One scout had this to say, quote, "The 6'3" receiver has explosive speed, great size, can jump out of the building, and has tremendous hands. He is versatile and athletic enough to play defensive back, but his future is most likely at receiver." So, now that we know about him, how would he do at Oklahoma, and why did he end up at Arkansas? In 2019, Haselwood would be a freshman. He'd catch 19 passes for 272 yards and 1 touchdown. He was not the top option, as that belonged to CeeDee Lamb. When he headed off to the NFL, many wondered if Haselwood could fill that void and that gap that was left by Lamb. That's not what would happen. He'd go down with an injury before the year. He only ended up catching 4 passes for 65 yards. Going into 2021, many people now thought he could finally break out. Except Marvin Mims had already done it the year before, and fellow 2019 signee Theo Weiss was already looking like he was going to be the next big thing. Haselwood would still have a good year as he caught 39 passes for 399 yards and 6 touchdowns. He wasn't good enough to head to the NFL, but he also knew it was time for a change in scenery. That is why he entered the 2022 transfer portal. He definitely had plenty of schools going after him, but he pretty quickly settled on Arkansas. He also probably saw what Treylon Burks just did in 2021, so Haselwood decided to go to Arkansas, and he became their top receiver in 2022. He ended up finishing the 2022 campaign with 59 catches for 702 yards and 3 touchdowns. Yeah, he got a lot of targets and a decent amount of yards, but it seemed he could not ever score the ball, and part of that was Arkansas's offense, and part of that was on him. So in 4 years, he never broke 1,000 yards, and his highest touchdown total was only 6. After 4 years, he has decided to enter the 2023 NFL Draft, where according to NFL Mock Draft Database, he is currently ranked as the 225th overall prospect and a projected 7th round pick. For someone who was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, by this time you'd expect him to be a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round selection, but instead, he'll be lucky to hear his name called, and he has had somewhat of a disappointing career. For being the next great recruit since DGB, he couldn't seemingly put it all together, and it has been a disappointing career, but if he can figure it out in the NFL, he could end up becoming a star and proving us all wrong. But what do you guys think? If you're an Oklahoma or an Arkansas fan, why did Jadon Haselwood struggle? How do you think he's going to do it in the NFL? And what players should I cover next? Be sure to let me know down below. Leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other videos on the end screen, including my video about what happened to Theo Weiss. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.